Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of the Donnell edition, where we talk to sporting athletes and sports administrators from across the globe from varying sports. Today we are joined by a professional rugby athlete. He is currently playing in the United States Major League Rugby competition and is the current captain of the very successful Seattle Seawolves. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Riekert Hattingh. Hey mate, how are you?
Very good yourself, mate. Nice to be
Good
here.
mate, good. You too. Mate, firstly, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you taking the time to come and have a chat about your career and some of the stuff that you're doing currently.
No, 100%. I think that's all we have at the moment is time. So glad to be on.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, mate. Firstly, what were your influences to play rugby, and what was your junior development pathway like?
So I got raised in a rugby family. My dad was a Springbok, and my uncle was a Springbok. So growing up, basically as a boy in South Africa, every boy in South Africa wants to become a professional rugby player or cricket player. And then, like I said, being raised in a family where my dad was a Springbok and my mom's brother, my uncle was a Springbok, it was just basically the natural path to go.
Yeah, definitely. Did you have any other sports you were dabbling in as a kid?
Oh, everything, yeah. Everything that kept me out of doing schoolwork. So I played some cricket, golf. I was pretty serious at golf at the stage. Athletics. Played some tennis till I was about 13. Swam a little bit. Basically any sport you could think of probably.
Yeah, awesome, good stuff. So how did your career come about in the in South Africa? I know you did a bit of time at the Golden Lions. Um,
Uh, more, more time at the Bulls. I was signed. Obviously, I'm from Pretoria, where the Bulls are. So I was signed at the Bulls straight after high school. So I spent some time there, probably 3 or 4 years there before I came over. I had a little stint at the Lions, but I didn't spend a lot of time there. I think I was there for pre-season 1 year, and then I came overseas. Yeah, but spent most of my South African playing days at the Bulls.
yeah, awesome, good stuff. And how was that at the Bulls?
It was awesome, man. I mean, that was our dream. We lived 15 k's from Loftus, so we were raised growing up, going to all the games on the weekend, and obviously wanting to be there one day. So, no, I was very grateful and a great opportunity for me to end up being there and having the privilege to get a contract and play there for a couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. And then how did that transition into your career in the United States Major League Rugby?
I wanted to early on, young and dumb. Wanted to go overseas pretty early, and so then I played at the club, and I was going to come overseas, and because of the way the rules worked, the visa rules work, I couldn't go to the UK, and I was basically out of a contract at the end of the year where everyone was signed already in South Africa. I thought I was going to go overseas, and that opportunity kind of fell through. Um, and then I played with a guy in South Africa that played in the US the year before. So he told me, well, you might as well come over to the US and, just play some club rugby. This was before it was professional. There's any
Yeah,
professional league yet. So I was like, oh, well, there's nothing else. So I went, just took the leap of faith, got on a plane, flew to Austin, Texas, played a little bit of club rugby there. And that's basically where it all started, where I met some people, met a guy that ended up being the CEO for Pro Rugby, stayed in contact with him, fell in love with America back then. I used to joke, me and a mate said, if Austin back then, I still love Austin, if Austin got a professional rugby team, it would be the best city in the world. And went back home. I was supposed to go to Glasgow, still couldn't get a visa issue sorted. I rejoined the Bulls for about 2 years, and then the deputy CEO back then is the CEO of the Bulls now. He hosts a sevens tournament in Dallas every year, and he had a chat with me and said, "Listen, yeah, mate, they're starting a professional league up in America. Are you interested in going?" Like, people reach out to him, and I said, "Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I love America," and that's basically how it came about. So I moved over for pro rugby, and then, since then stayed here, and then after that, obviously joined the MLR.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the US as well. Me and my wife, we've done a little bit of traveling around there. We spent a bit of time in California and LA, so
Oh,
yeah,
awesome, great
so
place.
Yeah, that is it's an awesome place. So what are your thoughts on the USMLR as a whole and sort of on a global scale? Where do you see that being positive?
Uh, um, Definitely, it's very positive. I mean, just the structure, the way the MLR is structured, it's way better than it's a lot of improved from the way Pro Rugby was structured. Just each team being owned by themselves and the league being owned by the team owners. And yeah, then there's massive growth. I must say, every year since even when I played club rugby, you can see the club rugby level on MLR level each year. I mean, the standard just grows by 10-15% every year. It's massive jumps. It's not each year is way harder than the year before. So that's a good thing to see. It's massive to see all the new guys, senior guys coming in that has a lot of experience from overseas, who's played a lot of test matches and stuff, coming to, starting to have a sniff in the US. I mean, that itself is a positive thing and says a lot about the league, that that high profile players are looking as an opportunity to come over, even though it's for a year or 2 years. A couple of years ago, you'd never imagined seeing guys
Mm.
coming over to play rugby. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think just watching it from a perspective in Australia, it's grown year on year. As you say, I follow it on Instagram and been following for quite 2-3 years now, and there's some superstars that are getting over there. Ma'a Nonu, I'm a massive fan of his, so he's over there playing at San Diego now, and yeah, as you say, it just keeps growing and growing, which is awesome. And I believe there's a college draft happening very soon.
There's a college draft happening soon, yeah. So that's new this year. So we don't really know. I don't know too much of it yet. This will be the first year, so that's a pretty interesting thing that they obviously brought over from the NFL side of stuff or from the American sporting side of things, which I think is really good. Just to basically have a pathway for those kids that come out of college. You might pick up one or two a year, or 3 or 4 guys a year. That's really good, or can play for America in the future, and it's definitely good to get them into a club early on, or on a team early on, to start developing those skills and be with senior guys. If you get a guy in previous years that played great college rugby, he didn't really have anywhere to go, or it was
Mm.
difficult for him to find a place to go, or nobody really looks at that guy, and those guys just go on with life, and it's basically wasted talent. Now you can have a guy, or at least 1 or 2 guys at a team coming over that's fresh, that needs a lot of development, but can walk into a team and have a guy, say, like Mananu, or a guy, that's a senior player to look up to, where an American guy would never have even had the opportunity to ever play with or against a guy like that, or get that knowledge at such an early age.
Yeah, definitely. And the United States rugby itself is starting to become a really really strong team now, especially in sevens. They've made quite an impact. Them and Canada as well. Obviously, being of Fijian descent, I'll watch a bit of the sevens. So
Yeah.
seeing those guys really put it to the top nation teams is really interesting moving forward. Um,
No, 100%. No, it's good. I mean, there's a lot of work still that needs to be done, especially grassroots level. Getting it into, before you can be a real powerhouse, we need to have rugby getting into primary schools and high schools. It's difficult to compete at that level with a lot of guys that only start playing rugby, say, at late high school, or most even only at college, being introduced to rugby. So yeah, and I think you're still a couple of years off, before you can compete with the real big international teams. But I think every step that's being made, and at the moment, is a step in the right direction.
yeah. So what is grassroots rugby like currently in the US from what you've seen?
I mean, more and more clubs are, surfacing. People trying to, ex-rugby players that used to play, trying to put something together in the community, or men's clubs trying to bring in more younger youth programs. I mean, there's a couple um, academy entities like Adverse, Tiger Rugby,
Hmm.
a couple of those guys, Rhino Rugby, that obviously trying to develop the grassroots. But it will definitely, I mean, like, and it's probably same as Australia and South Africa, you start playing for your school at, 5-6 years old, you start playing rugby. And that's why you have those guys being have such dominance in world rugby, because the guys, the knowledge and the familiarity of the game is just so much bigger. So they definitely have to try and get it into schools to get the same results. And I must say, with us going out to schools and reaching out to high schools and primary schools, a lot more schools are looking at, you know, implementing some sort of rugby training, say in PT classes or stuff like that, which is obviously, like I said, already a step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, as a player or as players in the league, are you guys heavily involved with that grassroots growth and development?
Yes, we try to. Like I said, we have some. We were fortunate. We had a rugby academy in Seattle, basically. That was their job, Edivis Rugby. So some of the Seawolves was part of that as well, and we would go out, say, on a weekly basis, or you have a couple of guys go to a primary school or go to a high school, just go talk a little bit, take over a PT class, you know, and start playing around with the kids, and you know, just get them familiar with the sport. You know, tell them a little bit what's Major League Rugby, tell them a little bit about what's the Seawolves. You know, and get guys excited around that stuff. Leave a couple of balls at the schools. We try to have before every game. We try to call it Run with the Pack, where we had kids as age from, I think, 9 to 14, it was, if I'm not mistaken, where we had a little camp that we put on before a game that's been run by some of the players that's maybe not in the match day 23, or some of the guys just, you know, running some skills clinics just before a game. And yeah, so basically that's the route that we try to go.
Yeah, awesome.
We're trying to get that through most of the teams in the MLR as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. Starting to build a really positive culture with
Yeah, no,
grassroots, which is
definitely.
good. Yeah, definitely. Mate, so what have some of the highs and lows been of your career as an athlete in rugby?
I mean, looking back, I've been very fortunate with having that too much injuries. Obviously, I had my first year playing in the Major League Rugby. I had a concussion basically 2 minutes into the first game. Came back 3 weeks later, got another hit, and I was basically out for the whole season. I basically just played the semi-final and final of the first year of Major League Rugby. Oh, yeah, probably, yeah, semi-final, final. So that was definitely a bit of a low to my career. And then I was definitely winning 2 Major League Rugby titles. Yeah, 2 years in a row is obviously massive. Yeah,
Yeah, back to back.
yeah,
It's awesome. Go for the three-peat, hopefully, if the season comes back. Hey?
yeah. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah,
Get
that's
a
it.
restart next year and go for it again. Yeah.
Yeah. How has the COVID situation affected yourself in your training regime and the team as well?
Most of the guys, I mean, that you have a bunch of guys coming in from overseas. Obviously, one week you making ready to go play in New York, and we still talked about it. Listen, do the guys feel comfortable? You know, traveling this week or not? Didn't know really what to expect. And 1 week later, basically, the whole economy is shut down, and
Mm.
everyone is trying to book a flight to go home. All the foreign guys trying to get out before they close. So that was an interesting situation. So now I must say we didn't even really have time as a group of guys to really, you know, get together and say goodbye as a group that much, because guys were just like trying to get out. No one knew what to expect and get home to their families and stuff. So it was a bit of a weird situation, but yeah, for so much, at least in Seattle, we could go outside. So we've been trying to go run down at the water. I didn't live far from the water, and there's a little walk path and a bike path. So we tried to go walk around our local gym, yeah, that we were members of. Gave a couple of us spin bikes and some weights and stuff. So doing some at-home workouts, try to stay busy.
Yeah.
Weather's starting to get nice, so we try to be outside as much as possible. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I've seen you have been helping out sort of in the with the emergency departments and stuff like that. Could you touch on that?
Yeah, so we had a little a fundraising thing for the COVID situation, where we auctioned off some signed Seawolf jerseys to raise some funds, and we used those funds to provide some meals for the nurses for National Nurses Day. So we went down and we partnered with Valley Shine Distillery, who's one of our partners, and a couple of us went up there. What was it? Last week, Thursday. When was it? Thursday. Was it Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, and we went up there at 6:30 a.m. Just there, the chef. We just basically packed some meals and we brought it down here. I live 100 meters from the Virginia Mason, from the hospital, so we just brought it back here and handed it out to them. You know, just as a sign of appreciation for what they've been doing through this crisis.
Yeah, good stuff. That's awesome. Great stuff. And so I noticed you did a little bit of coaching with the Seawolves during that time off. How was that? How did that impact your game, and how was that in terms of with the team as well?
Yeah, that's obviously it's a difficult position to manage. Being a player coach. Sometimes, depending on the kind of team you had, we've done it before. So when I came over to the US the first time, we were basically in somewhat the same role. We were a very player empowered team as well. We had certain guys running certain areas, and it worked great for us, and we didn't have any issues. We had a guy like Jamie McIntosh, who was part of us, who could basically run the scrums. We had a guy like Dom Waldock, and Sean Davies, who basically run the back line stuff. And I did most of the line-out stuff. This was for Pro Rugby in Ohio, and it worked out for us. We had a great season. Everyone worked well. Everyone understood it. Everyone bought in with it. And then basically, after that, I stayed and coached for Tiger Rugby when Pro Rugby fell away. So I was in a coaching role. We basically ran a coaching academy, and then moving to Seattle, we had a bit of a situation where our coach ended up not getting a visa. He wasn't able to get a visa, so then it basically just naturally happened, as well as I got an injury, that I just stepped up more into a coaching role, and basically doing that. But yeah, it was good. It was good. It teaches you a lot of different skills that you're not used to. Just dealing with players in America towards dealing players in South Africa is two completely different ball games. Just personality-wise, the way you were raised, the way you were talked to, the way you were coached back home towards the way kids were coached back here. So that definitely, you learn a lot from being in a situation like that. And just, the player management, how to manage each player differently and how to approach each guy in a different area. And you learn a lot about your teammates in that way as well. But it is definitely a tricky situation. Sometimes everyone doesn't always, want to buy into it, because some guy thinks, why doesn't he do that? Or why is he not in that position? So it is definitely tricky to manage that, player, friend, coach role. But no, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's awesome. What does it take or what's the team culture like to go and win two premierships back to back?
I mean, that was part of it. Like, it was not just myself, stepping up as a coach. It was basically we had a good team who was mature in that way. Every guy, we had a lot of knowledge in the team. So we basically had a bunch of leaders and a bunch of coaches. So we were very fortunate with that. So I think just being not really having a coach and having to, put the responsibility on each player, needed to take responsibility on himself, basically, to, do the best and work as hard as he can. And, everything that happens is on yourself. There's not a coach who's going to scream at you, or there's not going to be a drill sergeant telling you to do this or do that. So I think it matured the team a lot. And I just think there was a lot more responsibility taken by each individual because of the situation that we're in. And then the next year, we basically did the same thing, because the coach that we wanted to get there also couldn't really get a visa. So then we basically put in the same situation. And it just worked for us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with your preseason, what does that look like, or what does that look like over the last 2 years?
It changed a bit from the first year to the second year, just because of guys coming in from different areas. So the first year, we tried to have a bit of a longer preseason, but not a lot of foreign guys were able to get in it early. So then you were set with a situation where you only have 12 or 15 guys getting, say, 2 or 3 weeks in a preseason, which is basically then it's a bit difficult to do anything. So then the second year, we changed it a bit, and tried to make it a bit shorter, because most of the overseas guys only want to come in after Christmas anyway, but your season starts so early. So our preseason was a little short. So I think we'll probably try and find that sweet spot this year of not coming in too early, but not coming in too late. Just, talking to the guys so you can get some running and some conditioning going in a little bit earlier and sooner.
Yeah. When
Yeah,
does your season start?
usually around the second week in Feb, I believe.
Okay, second
Yeah.
week of Feb. So season will start then, and then you sort of try and map, I guess, a couple of weeks prior to that to get into pre-season, start getting the guys fit,
Yeah,
start
so
doing some Ks.
yeah, so trying this year. That's why this year we pressed it a little bit too short. So some guys, came in a little bit unconditioned and stuff.
Mm.
So we'll try and make it a little longer this year, and get the miles going for the first 2-3 weeks. Get the body used to running a bit again, and then going into more game specific stuff.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So whereabouts are you guys based? Is it a actual rugby pitch, or is it a? I've seen there's some baseball grounds that are used for games.
Some places no. So we are at Starfire Sport, which is a soccer facility. Basically, it's a soccer complex. That's where the Sounders used to play, and I think they still train there sometimes when they just started out. So before we started the season, we laid the new turf, obviously, because it needs to be rugby IRB approved turf. So we laid some new turf. So the field is a little shorter, smaller than a full size rugby field, but by a couple meters or so. But it's pretty nice.
Oh, yeah, good stuff. Nice. So I guess with all that, like with what's your post career look like for you?
There's a like I said earlier, I was never a big guy for school, so I enjoy more the entrepreneurial side of stuff.
Yep.
So I've started up a couple of stuff. I had a product on Amazon for a while, and I like a little bit of maybe getting into some home renovations. And then a mate of mine that plays with me, Matt Turner, our fullback, played a little bit of sevens for England. We just started a CBD business together. So diving into that side of things and see how that goes.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome, mate. What's your clubhouse like? Have you got a lot of recovery equipment there, and like what's the setup like at the club?
So the thing with America, obviously, like there's not really rugby specific facilities. So that's been a challenge as well. I know for a lot of teams coming in, is where you play basically. Seattle is very, built like same with New York. There's not really a place to build. All the facilities are always rented out 2 years in advance, basically. So you can't get fields. It's very difficult. So we were fortunate to get the field that we have, but it's not. We don't own it.
Mm.
So the gym inside there is not our gym really. The physios is all still owned by, not owned, but the Sounders, the soccer team, the MLS soccer team facility. So most of their stuff is there. So we trained off. There's not really a clubhouse, you can say. It's more of a complex, a sports complex that has 12 or 13 soccer fields on it, or something like that. 10 or 12 soccer fields on it with 2 indoor fields. It has a gym, a cafeteria, physios, but that's all owned by the Sounders or third parties. And then we had a gym that we partnered with that was probably 2 or 3 miles away from the stadium that we used to go work out at.
Yeah. Okay. And do you get access to those physios and stuff at the
Uh,
complex, or?
we not at the complex. So all our physios and stuff is not how can I say it? They're not
External?
part. They are own physios and stuff. They've got their own practices. So a bunch of people own their own physio facilities. So I must say we got a first year. Like I said, it's all been obviously teething problems. First year we didn't really have too much of a medical staff. Just didn't. The people just didn't think it was too necessary, or
Yeah.
it was, and the players were like, listen, we need this, and they went and said, okay, perfect, and they basically got us the biggest. We always joke about it and say, I think we got the biggest medical staff of any sporting team in the world, if of any racket, because there's just, obviously it was new, but so many volunteers came in that we had about 14 or 15 different people on a medical staff, from, doctors, physios, hand specialists, chiropractors, massage therapists, that all own their own practices but partnered with the Seawolves. So you can go to, if I want to go to the physio today, I got 3 different people basically I can contact that has practices all over town. So then you can go to the one that's most convenient for you, or something like that. And then we also partnered with the Washington Athletic Club, which is it's awesome. It's a lot of us, basically our players' second home. Basically, it's like a wellness club that's downtown, that has saunas, steam rooms, gym, cafeteria,
Awesome.
2 restaurants. It's got a hotel. It's a 20-floor building. Pickleball tables, rooms. It's
That's
great. Yeah.
awesome.
So
Yeah, I can see why you guys live there as your second home.
it's a
Definitely.
second home, guys. Watch the stocks, read the newspapers, drink coffee.
That's awesome. Good stuff.
So that's good. Yeah. So that's basically the clubhouse, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. So yeah, it's obviously, as you say, like a lot of teething problems that you guys have sort of jumped in, and then the owners and stuff like that, and general management of USMLR have taken sort of on feedback from you guys as players to say, look, let's improve this, let's
Yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah.
grow. Yeah,
And
that's
each
awesome.
each team is on, something that each team is on his own, path. Everyone does a different thing. Some guys, 2 teams, Houston just built their own facility, so they own their own facility. Who else was there? New Orleans just took over, I think, a old baseball facility that used to be owned by a minor league team. They just moved away from there, so they went over there. I think Dallas is planning on building a stadium, if I'm not mistaken. So more and more teams are looking to start, obviously start owning facilities and fields and rugby specific stuff. So definitely
Yeah.
going the right way. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Especially yeah, as the traction sort of progresses internationally on a global scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, America's the hub of it, isn't it? Like you look at the NBA and the NFL.
Yeah. And I think
Traction really.
the world is looking at it obviously as a marketing. They want to get into the US market because of broadcasting, and
Mm.
they want to tap into the media market because it's obviously the biggest market in the world. So yeah, it will be interesting. There's still a lot of work to be done, but it's definitely a lot of, like I say, land of opportunities here.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And what's life in Seattle like on a personal level?
Too rainy for my liking, but
Is it? Wow. Yeah. Okay.
it's pretty rainy. Yeah, it's pretty rainy. But no, it's good, man. It's absolutely beautiful. You got the mountains, a lot of water around you. You can, yeah, I mean, Canada's just on the border.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful in the summer. Nice, but yeah, it rains a lot during the winter.
Yeah. Well, I myself spent only 2 3 days there when I was doing a trip through the US by myself. Um, yeah, man, it was an amazing place. It was very cold at night. I went
Yeah.
up the Needle and everything at night and had a good view there.
Did
But
you come over there? Were you here during the winter?
yeah, 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 and it was man, it was so it was freezing. It wasn't
Yeah.
raining, which was good.
Yeah.
It was just yeah, pretty much hoodie on,
Yeah.
beanie on all day,
No,
every day.
it's pretty good. Like you can go 45 minutes from here and you can go snowboarding and skiing. You have mountains with snow on it. 2 hours north you have Canada. You go 3 hours north you have Portland. And there's great wines.
Yeah,
A bunch of water around. So it's different. A lot of outdoorsy stuff to do. Olympic Peninsula, mountains. If you like hiking, so no, it's the outdoor lovers paradise.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Awesome. Oh, that's great, mate. That's awesome. Is there anything else you wanted to?
No, that's 100, man.
No,
Thanks, man.
awesome,
Yeah.
mate. I really appreciate you coming on again. Hopefully, you guys have a really strong season once we all come out of this COVID pandemic. Hope
That's
everyone
it.
stays fit and healthy. Hope you yeah continue on your success. Hopefully the three-peat. I'll be watching definitely for sure. I'm sure there'll be a lot more people starting to gain traction over here in Australia as well with it.
No, thanks, man. Appreciate it. And all the best with your thing as well, your podcast. And, God bless and all the best.
Thank you, mate. Cheers, appreciate it.
Cheers, man.